The food industry is very smart. They have all these, chemicals that are called very different things to mask that this is like a dopamine rush, and they're designed for you to come back. It's insane how, you could be born in a low middle income setting, be surrounded with, places that only sell like kebabs or ultra processed foods, and you're surrounded with that. So it becomes part of your environment, it becomes part of your habits.
Almost food doesn't go off. Why is that?
It's made to be tasty all the time for the long run. It's made to secrete dopamine in your brain.
If I was to get sick, have I done everything that I can to get my body the best position to fight against illnesses? And a lot of the answers were, maybe, I don't know.
You are now tuned in to the Tokyo Diaries podcast. Sensational.
Welcome guys to Tokyo Diaries podcast. I am your host, Jenkinson Denzel Southern, aka Mouth the Filmmaker, as always. And today, I am joined by someone who will be intelligent and more smart than me than I will ever be in my life. Margot, welcome to the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you.
So please tell us about yourself. How did you end up in London? And where did you get that really good hoodie? Because I'm genuinely curious.
Oh, I'll tell you that in order.
Okay, thank you.
So, originally I'm French. Both my parents are French. My dad comes from Nantes, my mom from Normandy region. Nice. And after working a couple years in Paris, we decided to pack our bags and go to New York. So we stayed there for 7 years, learned, spent some like fundamental years there growing up, and then moved to London when I was 14.
Yeah.
And
How was that shift, you'd say, from like living in France and then coming to like the UK culture? Was there anything that really kind of stuck out, you say, as a major difference? Or?
Yeah, I think I will note like the food culture, probably like, dining together. I think that was probably like a big thing. I think a lot more fast food. I think a lot more like quickness around maybe like sharing a meal. Yeah. I think that's the first one that comes about. But in London, everybody is super, super chill. That's what my impression at least. Like
super chill
compared.
What part of London you live in? Damn.
No, as in open to conversation, open to
really
to any. Yeah.
Was it about the same London?
But London's so different. There's so many different areas,
and
you can take the tube an hour west and you end up with different people.
Whole different place. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Incredible. Yeah. And for the people listening and watching, what is your actual occupation, career?
So at the minute, I work in market insights, a new job that I took on before. But before I was like a policy analyst kind of role, so focused on life sciences and healthcare.
Speaking of life science and healthcare, you're probably in the best city to analyze health and the deterioration of it probably on people's faces. I think, what was it? One of the most polluted cities in the world, I heard, or was it?
Oh, no, I don't think it is. I think probably, I don't know actually, but it's definitely very polluted. I think that doesn't shift the fact.
I think going underground train, you know exactly what I mean, 10 minutes later.
I think even some of the lines, some of the tube lines, some are more polluted than others. Yeah. I think the Victoria line, the Jubilee line are terrible. As in like, this is a fact. This is like they're one of the worst off for particles.
There were times where I would travel from Liverpool to London just like for the day, and I get back home to Liverpool and I would just fall sick 2 days later. I wouldn't even eat or drink anything, but just be like, okay, I ate like chips, I didn't wash my hands. Okay, fine. And I've been on the underground. I know it's like a recipe for disaster. And then literally like a day later, I have like this terrible flu, or maybe I just come back and do nothing and I just get like, I can see like my skin is a bit more. Yeah.
Exfoliate.
You
have to exfoliate a bit more.
It's like when I come into London, I have to have like my immune system, the defenses have got to be up, and it's like Liverpool, it's a city, but the population numbers doesn't even compare to London, and there's so many people, and the pollution, the fumes, the underground.
The limestone in the water as well affects your hair. Like,
tell me about that limestone. I have no idea what that is.
Oh, I mean, London, I think that's why a lot of people have water filters in their homes in London, is because the water is so charged with limestone, then you have to like filter it. And I think it like accumulates in your body a little bit. So it's,
and what would that do to someone?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I know people have water filters for this exact reason in London. If you compare it to like Geneva water, it's much more pure and you can taste the difference. Like here the water is much harsher and a bit more, it's just not the same. Where if you go to a different country, depends again which country, but like Geneva water is Excellent.
Best city in the world, guys. Best city in the world.
What, Geneva?
No, London.
Oh, London.
Even though
Despite all the health
despite-
problems you may have, it's a great city.
all the things we're talking about. Speaking of health, microbiome. I hope I just said that correctly.
The microbiome.
Microbiome. Please, what does it explain to people? And why should someone in their 20s living in central London, when they have audiences to worry about, why should it be on their mind, you'd say?
So, the microbiome, more specifically the gut microbiome, it's a collection of microorganisms in your intestines, like mostly in your intestines. And it basically, it's in charge of a lot of processes in your body. It regulates digestion, regulates immune system, brain activity, cognition, so many different areas. And over the past 10 years, it's been booming in the scientific journals. It's been booming in podcasts as well, in the scientific industry. Companies have even started to make that profit, and they've used the microbiome as a source to make personalized nutrition tools to help people kind of base their diets off a certain way, of their personalized microbiome needs, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But why should people care about it in 2024? Well, ever since the COVID-19 pandemic, there's been a huge rise in people wanting to understand how their health works.
True.
And you can see that through the type of engagement, even on Twitter and social media. People are just so ready to understand and, maybe say something more about health, maybe have their own say and become more curious about their health, which is, I think it's great. I think it's fantastic.
Yes.
But that also led to a lot of misinformation and readily accessible misinformation, which is toxic, which is very poisonous for ultimately what we want to know is how can we improve our health, especially as young people, kind of discovering how to grapple with adulthood in our early ages as well. So yeah, I think because of the microbiome gaining a lot of popularity on the scientific length, and again in medical journals, it kind of matched with people wanting to take ownership of their own health. Again, COVID-19, people had time to really ask, okay, what is COVID? How will it affect me? And
also to reflect, am I actually taking care of myself? Because I think with the lockdowns, it gave a lot of time for people to just stop and to think and realize, one, what am I actually doing with my life? For one,
100%, it was very introspective.
Yes, but then two, also, if I was to get sick, have I done everything that I can to get my body the best position to fight against illnesses? And a lot of the answers were, maybe, I don't know. I think that was a real watershed moment, I think, for people. You think? How do you feel about it?
100%, yeah, because people randomly got sick, and obviously there were comorbidities that made it so that some people, a fraction of people, got more ill than others from COVID-19 specifically. But then there are people who just fell ill and had terrible symptoms from COVID-19, and research is still really unclear why some people were affected more by COVID than others. Again, people that are really healthy, people that go running every day, and they were still hit really hard by COVID and long COVID also, months of COVID symptoms. So it's just, one thing that's really interested me when seeing COVID is that actually you can do so much for your health, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's just it just happens. Yeah. So not to put it down there.
Yeah, it's no matter what you do, you're screwed.
No,
yeah,
not entirely, because you can definitely that's why I think that understanding how your microbiome works is such an empowering tool for taking care of your own health, because understanding it's at the center. It really is at the center of your being, and understanding that it's called the second brain because there's neuronal systems. It's called the enteric neuronal system right here.
Yes.
And it basically, there's a link from the vagus nerve that connects your central nervous system, so your brain and your spinal cord, to your enteric nervous system in your gut. So again, that mind-body connection is really real. And if you understand that, you have a bit more control over your health, or you can learn about it and see what works for you.
Speaking of that mind-body connection, that's a great topic that you mentioned. In your own personal experience, in your own life, have there been moments or mistakes that you've made with your own overall health that, looking back now, okay, I wouldn't do that, I would do that, or that was smart, that was foolish? Maybe certain things you ate or sleep or anything like that, you'd say?
Oh yeah.
No shame.
Oh,
we all have
probably,
it.
yeah. Oh my, when, for example, alcohol, like,
Yeah.
like again, you can tell if you've had, let's say, a night out, having fun, couple drinks, a cheeky McDonald's afterwards.
Let me say, you're
cheeky
a cheeky McDonald's. All of the
You
Big
know,
Mac, mate. Yeah,
literally.
yeah. 2 sugars.
Plant-based McDonald's.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. The
No, no.
vegan. Yeah. Whatever's in
Of
that
course,
meat.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
But
don't
you
make any
see-
assumptions here on this podcast. Yeah.
But you see, so alcohol and ultra processed food. That's yeah, a terrible. So then you wake up.
People
and
don't even
you
know how it's
feel-
processed, by the way. Like even GMOs, we don't even know like the oil it's cooked in, like the oil, how long it's left there. Like the whole like old adage that McDonald's food doesn't go off. Why is that? When real food, I have a banana, I put in my bag for 2 hours, it's gonna turn black
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's alive, you know. But why doesn't that food go off? Like it's a whole
Because
conversation.
it's made to be tasty all the time for the long run. It's made to secrete dopamine in your brain for you to get addicted. Like the food industry is very smart. You know, they have all these, chemicals that are called very different things to, to ultimately mask that this is like a dopamine rush, and they're designed for you to come back and to, give more profits. Yeah, ultimately.
Yeah.
And listen, I love a bit of ultra processed foods. I feel like it's
Love
kind
it,
of in
folks.
our culture. It's
Yeah.
it's even in this world, it's super accessible. If you're running late or something, you want to
And
quickly
cheaper.
eat something. It's cheaper. It's
Yeah.
so cheap.
But think about what that can be seen as a sinister thing. Like, why is it right now? I'm getting the train back. It'd be cheaper for me to go get a pack of Haribos and fruit pastels than it would be to go get that nice rice, chicken, kind of like takeaway thing. It'd be like £8 for that versus like £2 for some sweets.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
We can spend some time to talk about the
Oh, please.
socioeconomic
Yes, yeah.
implications of how food really, like food and your environment really shapes like your outcome.
Yes.
Like, it's insane how you could be born in a low middle income setting, be surrounded with places that only sell like kebabs or ultra processed foods, and you're surrounded with that, so it becomes part of your environment, it becomes part of your habits. So you go with your mates after school and you partake in life.
It's also a culture thing as well. It's like,
100%.
oh yeah, like I'm from East London, and the phrase is like 6 wings and chips, 3 wings and chips, like 3 wings and chips for £1. It's like, oh, let's go, boss man chips, please. It's like, it's like what was it? It was like, oh, boss man, get 3 wings and chips, please, like £1.50. Great deal. That ain't good for me though. But it's like, oh, all the
But
boys.
you don't think about that.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
know. It's
all
like
the-
after football, it's like, oh, we've earned it,
Yes.
we've been to the gym, like
Yeah.
I've worked out, so something for the body, something for me. It's like, this is for me, it's like, oh, it should be okay, right? Because I'm doing more good than putting in bad. But I can tell by the look you're giving me that that's not correct, probably.
It's not that it's not correct, it's just like that's in your habit. And also you would think that because it makes you feel good, it will do good for your body.
Yeah.
So that's the whole crazy link. For me, that's what annoys me the most, is that you want to, I guess, indulge a little bit, and you want to do something for yourself.
Exactly, yeah.
But ultimately, that does not lead to self-care. Like in the long term, it leads to more inflammation. It means to like a dysbiosis. So to explain a bit what dysbiosis means, is just when the colonies inside your gut microbiome decide to, maybe like the bad bacteria overtake the good bacteria. So bad bacteria come from like consuming ultra processed foods, let's say, and you're kind of feeding them by giving them that food. But if you're eating, let's say, bananas, apples, like onions, any kind of vegetable or plant-based food that isn't processed, then that would be feeding the good bacteria, and then you would no longer have that dysbiosis. So, and the beautiful thing is you can always change it. It's just always changing. And interestingly, by surrounding yourself with people, so if you move in, let's say, with somebody who has a specific diet, you will share a bit of bacteria as well with that person.
How does that go about happening?
I mean, I'm not quite 100% sure, but I think it just because you're sharing bacteria, you know, like on my hands, on all over my skin.
Proximity,
Yeah, proximity, exactly. Because I have like these bacteria, I'll be touching like, you know, surfaces like the cooking board and stuff, and maybe, you know, I'll give some of my food to my flatmates. You know, I'm just like feeding, but you know, I'll be sharing my products, or my flatmate will be sharing products with me. So you end up kind of giving each other. A bit of like different bacteria. So there's like beautiful like synergy. It really means that there's such an importance in community and who you surround yourself with too.
Yes.
So to add to that, pets as well. Having a pet also increases like the amount of like good bacteria. It helps with the microbiome and your overall health to have a pet, because again, your pet brings back bacteria from the outside world. And you kind of just, again, the interplay between you and your pets, and then you kind of just,
Cutting out the health. Are you a dog or a cat person?
Oh, it changes all the time with my moods.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think right now I'm in my cat phase. I'm very cat right now. I think if I had a cat, we'd just be cuddling up every day.
Yeah. I just want to hark back to what we mentioned about the food and the mind-body connection. You know how we say that these certain food industries, they're tailoring the food to make it taste good, to make you come back more so kind of to spike that dopamine.
Yeah.
I love it regardless. I'll know that's horrible for me, and you'll know that we'll do it. But how can, in your own opinion, how can we go about just trying to break that grip it seems to have on us, you'd say? I know it, like, one thing, I play for a football team now. We train once a week. We play once every weekend. Even like cutting out sugar for 48 hours. And what I've noticed, since I started doing that, I eat less junk in general, because my body is so used to not having sugar. It's like, oh, well, it's Sunday. We can't have sugar till Wednesday again. When I finish training, I don't want the sugar, because I've gone so long without it. My brain is now starting to find it in fruit or in bananas. I know there's sugar in apples and bananas, but compared an apple to a pack of Haribos, and you know, so that's what has helped me to kind of like wait off that spell. Is there anything that you found that's helped you in your own personal time with those kind of vices to kind of teach your body to what essentially is a new habit, to learn a new habit and then a new addiction to like a new type of food, a new type of sweetness, you'd say?
Well, I mean, I think
I love the sigh you just pulled, by the way. It's like, oh, yes. Go ahead.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, I think being aware of how much sugar maybe you eat, and especially like added sugar. Yeah. Because you can have like dark chocolate, let's say, because that has a very low number of like added sugar to it. So if you find foods maybe that, you know, like instead of getting, I don't know, like a milk chocolate that's been like ultra processed, then you can, if you like dark chocolate. But that's the thing, you don't want to stop having those foods either, because then you're just going to crave more and more, and then it's going to drive you insane. So it's best to like just be flexible and kind to yourself. I think it'd just be like, you know, at the end of the day, if I want something like that, I'm still going to have it. And that for your health is also being patient and kind to yourself about that. I think that's what works for me. It's like, if I want something like that, it's great, that's a bit for me. But then maybe like in the next few days, I'll have just dark chocolate maybe. So it's against the balance. It's like trying to understand your needs and yourself, doing everything first for your needs. And then if you're still craving something, just, you know, let yourself have it, I guess. To
kind of round up on the last two questions, speaking of cravings, I crave a long night. I hate going to bed sometimes. It's a real thing. I feel like, oh, I got to do this. There's nothing I need to do. But my brain will make up stuff to like, oh, well, what I think I really fear is losing control. And when I'm sleeping, I'm not in control. Like, it's kind of scary to think about, but when we're sleeping, we don't control when we wake up, if we will wake up ever again. And that's like a real, like, darkness of the soul kind of thought I have is, oh, what if I don't wake up? But like, what if I just die in my sleep? It's one of my darkest fears. So that is something I'm working with. But going on to sleep, I've slowly gotten better at getting 6-7 hours, sometimes even 8 or 9 in a during week. Not just like I'm off and I can take some more time off. Like, I have work to do, but I can go. That's what's kind of helped me. Have you struggled with sleep going forward, and what's kind of helped you? And if you notice the differences, you'd say?
I don't think I struggle with sleep.
Oh,
I'm sad to say.
Really
I think I'm just so tired at the end of the day. I think though, I really like swimming. And if I swim for an hour, like in the morning or the afternoon, I'm like set. Because
Yeah.
you can just put me to sleep and I will sleep. So I think it's just physical exercise. I think really helps with sleep.
Your brain doesn't have that like, okay, but I gotta do this errand, this task, this task.
You do disconnect, it makes it easier, and then you're just a bit more physically exhausted. So I think physical exhaustion really helps.
Yeah.
And then I think this is kind of general advice, but maybe like limiting blue light exposure, prior to sleep. So again, I know the phones, I know the dopamine machines, you kind of just scroll and it kind of pops up and
it
you
feels
want more.
so good though in bed. I can't like just go for your phone when
I know there's like some funny cat videos, but you got to put it down because it's at least an hour before. And instead you can pick up a good habit like reading a book.
Yeah, I do that, just not in bed. You're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right, definitely. And also like, I'm a big gamer, PlayStation 5. Like, I'm like on a good FIFA session before I go to bed. When I like that, I know that's the worst thing to do, try to sleep, because my mind is racing now. I'm in the competitive mindset.
So it seems like
I know, of course I know. But like our viewers and listeners, we know it's just...
You don't want to do it. Oh my God,
I want to do it, but I think I need to baby step myself to that, because I think I'm over at the left side and the good is over here, and I slowly... incrementally get myself there.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you would enjoy the book Atomic Habits
by
James Clear.
James Clear.
He talks about one of my favorite chapters is talking about building a good habit. Is that every day you do the smallest little change possible to whatever you want to change. So let's say if you want to like limit your screen time. And you let's say the first night that you want to adopt that, you only scroll through 5 minutes, then the next night 4 minutes, and then the next night and so on, and then you're like, oh, 1 minute, and then you just want to put it down. So I think it's just again thinking about what habit you want to kind of get control of or you want to implement in your life, and then asking yourself, okay, how can I create a positive environment to help me change that?
I have found dopamine fasts where I like set like a 5-minute timer on my phone. Is like, okay, for the next 5 minutes I can't touch my phone. Sounds silly, but I find myself, oh, I need to go clean my bathroom, I need to go clean the oven. Like my brain will find stuff to do, like that edginess to get something done. Where it's like, okay, until that alarm goes off, you can't look at a screen. And I noticed that when I look at that screen again, the brain is like, oh, this is new. Look at those colors. Look at that, because it's had that break away from it. Yeah. Almost like when you wake up, looking at your phone feels so good because you've had 7-8 hours where your brain had none of that. It's dopamine fast. I think have really helped me kind of edge it off, I'd say.
Okay.
Yes. Last question, I'd say. Everything we've talked about today, personally for you, what would you want going forward in your life? Like maybe just professionally as well, but also any like health milestones you want to reach personally, like, okay, I want to get better at this, I want to get better at that, I want to cut this off. And how would you go about that in this very peaceful city that we live in?
Peaceful.
I mean, you said
peaceful London. No, I said it was people are chill.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
That's one word about it. Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the things that helps me and drives me the most is education. So learning as much as I can about the subject. That's what keeps me trying to want to like better myself all the time. It's so I want to pursue a PhD, so in epidemiology, so specifically on infectious diseases and on antimicrobial resistance, which we talked about, but essentially keeping myself accountable on what myths have I internalized, what health myths have I internalized, how can I improve that, what is my perception on things. So always like asking myself about what I'm doing, is this the best, not the best version that I can be, but just asking myself constantly. So yeah, constant education I'd say is my way forward. So it's not just telling yourself that you don't and you shouldn't be doing something, because that will make you want to do it more. But it's more being kind to yourself and identifying ways that you can improve yourself, but in a kind, like, peaceful way.
It's a negotiation with your body, isn't it? Sometimes it feels
a negotiation.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like, okay, it's like, I know I need to do this good thing, but let me ease you into it versus like going cold turkey. Just
I think definitely we do have a culture of forcing ourselves to I don't want to say like the grind set, but forcing yourself to like have strict cutoffs on how you should be, and social media really exacerbates that too. You want to you want to have what that person has on
Achieve
social media.
everything tomorrow.
It's just so quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
You scroll and you have a different video
It's
talking
that
about
micro
how
thing. It's like just 30 seconds, bam, I have it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's detrimental. It's detrimental to your progress, especially to compare yourself to other people like that. And it's just not sustainable. And then I just know so many people who've, have been let down, by that. And it's just really, yeah. I mean, social media has amazing advantages because I'm able to connect with, different people that I would have never connected on. I'm accessing knowledge or platforms that I don't have access to otherwise. But yeah, I think it's, again, being kind in a world that's full of information and then selecting how you want to focus your energy.
Margot, thank you so much for coming on. Honestly,
No worries.
It's been a pleasure, my friend.
A pleasure.
One of the things I love about you is I think you're the first guest who sent me legitimate essays. You know what I'm going to say? Essays about questions about the podcast. It's like everyone's like, okay, cool, I'll be there this time. Every day I was getting like, okay, let's talk about this. I felt like I was taking an assessment and I hope I passed. But I love that passion about you. And please do not ever, ever lose it. Where can they find you online, on social media, anything like that?
I think my Instagram is my full name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all right, I'll leave it.
I think I don't think there's any punctuation. It's just my full name.
Okay, I will link it here at the bottom down
Sounds
there.
good.
Obviously, you can find us at Tokyo Diaries Podcast on Instagram and TikTok, YouTube, Spotify. Not It's Tokyo Diaries Podcast on Instagram. You can find me at Mav the Filmmaker, MAV the Filmmaker, or at Maverick Studios. And as always, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling sensational.
Sensationnel.
The French, man, they are the best. Thank you guys. See you next week.